Hey everybody, welcome to the Thursday edition, episode 88 of The TED Show. I am with my friend, we've had a great conversation already, Veronica Figueroa. Welcome.
Hi.
And let us know that you can hear us, see us, touch us, whatever you want to do. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. I'm really excited to have you on here. I love the title that you came up with the show because I've just taken that and run with it. So Charlotte and Nirmala, let us know that you can hear us and see us, and then I can get right into my discussion with my friend Veronica. So thanks for being here. Bill Moore's on too, so let us know you can hear us and see us. I mean, I can see us, so, Misty Cavanis. Look, so we've got some great people coming on.
Awesome.
Hey guys, hey Nirmala, can you hear us? We're good? Okay, Bill can see and hear. Good. All right, so now I can get down to business. Welcome.
Welcome.
I am so excited to have you on, and we literally have, I said it earlier, the best conversation before, so I'm going to make sure that we have that conversation or add to it. So let's make sure, like my shoulders.
Yeah, I'm going to remind you to bring your shoulder in. That's my job
is
today.
Crazy. Jeremy, I had a meeting with Jeremy Wood today, and he said, you've got to get your whole body in there. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about that later. All right, so I can't remember how we met.
I think we met.
Was it a person? Was it here at the club?
It was either here or WCR.
Well, it could have been
or
WCR.
Melissa Berry or
Oh,
somebody.
I love Melissa Berry.
Somebody
it
introduced
could have been
us.
Melissa Berry.
Somebody introduced us, and we instantly we fell in
Oh
love.
yeah,
Instantly.
she's amazing. She and Tony both. Her husband Tony, they're the brokers out at Remax Innovation, right?
Yep.
And I just loved your energy the first time I met you two because you're both Spitfires,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they say.
No, but I love that. And especially in this day and age and the things that we're going to talk about, that's why I loved the title that you came up with. A lot of times the guests, when I have guests on, they're not sure what the title should be or what the focus of the show is. Hey, Danny Shepard, what's up, buddy? And I loved yours, Disruption to Dominance. And Tony, it's not dominatrix. Maybe it is. We can talk about that later, too.
Yeah, talk about it later.
The guy I was with earlier, Jeremy, knows the marketing director for Fair Villa, so God knows where this conversation
Oh my gosh. I'm embarrassed.
Oh, don't be embarrassed. But tell me more about you. Where'd you start? How'd you get into all of this? Where are you from? See, we joke, and I'm going to tell her, because I promised her this, the research and development goes all to booze, so I don't actually look up my guests or know where you came from or what your story is, so tell them.
I guess, I don't know, I just am a girl who just happened to fall into real estate due to, I think, what I would consider a need, just like anyone else. I was just a single mother going through a divorce, and I happened to get my real estate license right out of college and because a friend of mine asked me to do it. And I was like, I'm going to put that on the back burner. Who wants to do timeshare in Orlando, right? That's so, not my style.
Oh, look what Shirley says. Her smile is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Hey, Jerry. Happy New Year.
That was about 2001, and then I just put it on the back burner, and then life shook up, and I went through a divorce. I was a single mom with two beautiful kids who are my driving force in life, and I thought about for a split second, oh my gosh, my double income is going to go away. I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life. What am I going to do? And I don't want corporate America to tell me what I'm worth. And I remember I had this thing called a real estate license on the back burner that I got right out of college. And I said, maybe I should use this thing. And I went into timeshare, and I hated it. I hated every aspect of it.
Timeshare is so hard.
Well, not to say, no, there's some people who are really good at it, but at that point in my life, I was so insecure, I was scared, and then I said, let me do this thing called residential real estate. As a part-time agent,
I mean,
said,
whatever, I'll try it.
So I would hide at my job and speak to clients in the closet or in the conference room and hope my boss wouldn't see me. And 3 months later, I think I closed 3 or 4 transactions. I think I made $11,000 that month. And I said, wow, if I can do this part-time, imagine what I can do if I give it my all and not working for what they call the man, right? And do this all in. And my mom was like, are you crazy? You have 2 kids. You have insurance, and we
because
have
she
to
has
play
the traditional
safe, right?
thought process,
Yeah.
right?
And
a job gives you stability, allegedly.
Yeah, and I just said, Mom, I got this. I was like, if anything, I can always go back and fall back on, my career, which was human resources. And actually, it really helped me because the human resources element of what I learned in my career in college actually segued right into real estate. And 2004, I never looked back. It was the best decision I ever made. And here I am.
And look at all the love you're getting. So everybody's saying hi. Rebecca says you rock. There's a lot of amazing comments. Thanks for all the love. You can see the hearts going across.
I love hearts.
Well, I love hearts too, but that is a testament to you. So let's talk about what you, present day, because you own a brokerage. You own the Remax Innovation out in Avalon.
Yep,
right?
we
Avalon
own Remax Innovation in Avalon Park. And January 17th, mark your calendar. If you don't have anything to do, we're opening up our second office right outside of Lake Nona, right outside of the airport, Wyndham Lake Estates, and we're super excited.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So again, no
Did my own
R&D,
plug.
man. I love the R&D. I love the plug on that. So you're opening a second office, but let's get back to the story. I got to get my shoulder in. This is crazy. Let's go back to the story, because what we talked about was disruption. So just define the disruption, because that obviously came. You've had an interesting year. You had an interesting 2017, and there's a reason for it. So let's talk a little bit about that, because when people come on the show, when you're successful, people want to hear about your good times and bad times. They want to hear about your haters and lovers, and you've got a great story for this. So tell them what happened in 2017.
I think 2017 was a really pivotal moment for my career. Not only my career, but I believe professionally and personally, I grew a lot. I was exposed to a lot of opportunities. Obviously, a lot of people may know about this whole instant offers thing, and or my relationship with Zillow. I was called a sellout. I was called a welfare agent. I was called an agent who
welfare agent.
Yeah, I was.
Like, who says that?
There was a lot of hating comments, and there were times where I really doubted myself. I was like, am I doing something wrong? Am I letting my industry down? And we ended up.
Why? Tell them why, because if you don't know about Zillow, so Zillow, most real estate agents have this interesting love-hate relationship with Zillow. So because you decided to embark on a journey with them, you got a lot of crap from people, a lot of haters that said this is where the welfare agent and the sellout agent come in, and haters gonna hate. You're right. Why though? Why did they give you a hard time? What is the big deal about doing a Zillow program?
I think agents, it's the unknown and the fear. I think that disruption is something that happens in every industry, right? I just knew that I never want to be the blockbuster agent, right? I don't want to be the agent that gets put out of business because I'm not open to adapting to change.
Correct.
And to what consumers want. So I early on tried Zillow and online leads, Boomtown, you name it, back in 2010, 11, and I failed miserably, just like most agents do, because I didn't get intentional with it. I wasn't focused. But then I started realizing there's a new trend. I was an REO agent, just like when I had to bang on asset managers' doors, and I was told that market's tapped out. Dorothy Busey and Jeff have that market on lock, or George Philbeck, and you could never break into it. And I took my last $5,000, I flew my ass to Texas, and I banged on every single asset manager's door, and I said, you need to hire me, and I'm gonna be one of your best agents in Orlando. And I remember spending my last $5,000 during the crisis, and I came back with 30 assets. That is kind of like how I approach any type of new venture that I do in anything that I, embark on. I knock on people's doors and I literally say, you need me and I need to know what you're doing and I want to know how we're going to make this work. And that's what happened with Zillow. I failed at it, but then I met someone who inspired me, and she says, you did it all wrong because you didn't listen or you didn't follow the people who were doing it right. So I nimbled myself. I said, you know what? Who's doing it right? And I started buying plane tickets and flying all across the nation and saying, I don't care what people in Orlando are doing. I want to know what people across the nation are doing.
Right.
So I started rubbing elbows with people who were doing things better than me, doing things bigger than me, and pushing me to be inspired to just tap into something that was a little worrisome, and we didn't understand it. And I started getting better on the phones. We started dialing. We started following up and realizing that the online lead DNA is different than the face-to-face. But I knew I wanted a piece of it all. I didn't want to just be the neighborhood farming agent. I wanted to be the agent that not only was local, I wanted to be just bigger than that. I wanted to just create something that allowed me to create a legacy and inspire other agents and build an empire on. And that's how I approached it. So when I failed miserably, the one thing that I do very well is I admit when I fail, and I fail over and over and over again.
We all do, and that's an important message. And then we talked about this earlier. You take a sip of your wine. By the way,
Thank you.
This is not coffee.
I felt bad that I was drinking wine.
You know it's not coffee. That is something that I think people don't admit enough. You have to say, all right, I screwed, something didn't work. I failed. Don't be afraid to say these words out loud, because how else are you going to grow? What if you're just going to pretend the whole time that everything's hunky-dory and that what you did was awesome and it had to be everybody else's fault? Couldn't be yours.
Yeah.
Couldn't be how you handled it. So you took a situation where somebody showed you that the leads, or the way that you were handling the leads, was you were doing it a way that wasn't productive or effective or impactful, and you listened to them. That's the other thing. You're not 100% right all the time.
No,
we
of
weren't
course.
either, right?
No.
Me either. So, but people think, oh God, if it's not working, it's got to be everybody else's fault. There's got to be blame.
I did that really well. I blamed. I was like, oh, this sucks. This doesn't work.
It's terrible.
But it was funny back then. It was when they had the gas pedal, and I was that person who didn't complete my profile. I didn't do everything that I was supposed to do. So I remember going to a conference, and I would spend thousands of dollars going to conferences. And I'll tell you why I did that. And those agents who don't invest in their business, the one thing I can say is just get out there and invest in your business. Meet people. And there are people who have lived before us outside of Orlando and who are doing amazing things. And that was just part of my R&D, shall I say. I wasn't just spending it all on other things, right? But my point was, I got out there and I started just being curious. Curiosity allowed me to just continue to grow. And when I met someone who had said, do you really want to be successful in this? I want you to listen to everything that I've done. These are my clients, and they're my clients for a reason. Look them up. And I remember I called her and I said, I just want to thank you for, making me a student. She was younger than me. She was feistier than me. And I just listened, and I humbled myself, and I thanked her. And in addition to that, I remember calling her. And you guys listen to me very carefully. Those of you who say this doesn't work. It's not for everyone. But those of you who got entrenched in it, I remember calling her and saying, it's like crack. I want more. Give me more. I said, give me more, baby. Give me more.
I love it.
And then that's where my relationship started. That's where I started getting a lot of hate.
But why? Why do you think the hate came in?
Okay, so in 2016, my husband and I went to a conference, and I remember there was a lot of change happening, and we were seeing some successes, and we were going to these conferences, and nobody knew who we were, and I don't like that. That's not my MO. I like to meet people. I like to put myself out there and really shake hands. And I remember going up to the executives and to the people who were movers and shakers, and I would just introduce myself and say, I want to get to know you. I want to meet you. I want to be on stage. I want to learn from everyone. And it was just, yes, I'm married. That got my attention.
Travis. Travis has been making comments the entire time.
He's so cute.
We'll have to look at him later.
And my husband, obviously, bless his soul, because he's the one who's always
we love you, Tony.
Pushing me, right? I remember him introducing me to someone. He says, you need to meet my wife. He says, you need to know who she is. And I was like, why are you saying this? Because Veronica, you have what it takes. And I was like, he was pushing me to just kind of believe that I was capable of being in the same room with some people who were doing some really big things. And I got the courage to just let them know, hey, I want to share what I'm doing and what's working for me and my passion and my desires and my ideas. It was really my ideas that I really wanted to share with them about why certain agents thought it wasn't working and how we can inspire other agents to realize that this is a possible avenue of a great book of business. And in one of those conferences, I stood up and I spoke out in front of a bunch of agents who just were in an uproar. And I think I got the attention of some people. But I remember saying to them about 6 months prior, I said, you and I are going to do a lot of business together. And we're going to make a lot of money together. And it was that confidence, I think, that really opened a lot of opportunities for me. But I just believed it. I believed that there was something special and magical there. 6 months later, I was asked to be a Zillow advisory board member.
Did that create more haters at that point?
Oh yeah, now it seemed like I was on payroll, and that's not the truth.
Right.
Then for some reason I got on Inman Influencers list as an online lead generator, contributor, or a motivator, and I really didn't know where that came from, because I was just doing what I love to do.
Correct.
In other states and at other conferences, and shaking a lot of people's hands and just sharing my passion and my energy outside of just the Orlando market. It's so competitive in Orlando that I don't think we collaborate enough, or it's so brand centric that it's like, oh, if I'm not with Remax, or I'm not with Keller Williams, or if I'm not part of WCR, or if I'm not part of Aura's, favorite kid club, I don't get to, I don't get to rub elbows with people. I took it to the next level. I was like, I love Orlando. Well, I love my town, but guess what? There's more out there. The world is no longer flat. It's so global. It's so round. I
agree, 100%.
So I wanted to expose myself and understand what was out there for me to bring back. And the world just started changing, and it just started changing for me. I started thinking outside of that. And next thing you know, people were watching. I didn't know people were watching. And I made Inman influencers. And I went to Inman for the first time in 2016, and I was mesmerized. I was like, oh my God, these people are so smart. And then they thought I was smart enough to get on the list, and I was like, what? Who, me? I'm just a girl who just loves real estate.
But I think one of the things that you brought up about, let's go back just really quick to when you are out there like you do, you put yourself out there, you take risks, you're authentic, you're raw, you're vulnerable. And one of the things we talked about earlier is that you are not afraid to post, especially on social media, some of the things that bother you, upset you, if you get hurt. There is such a power in that. But that hasn't stopped you from attaining these things, from going after these things. You admit it, you talk about it, you get it out there. It may not get resolved that moment, but you're still able to talk about it, and you move forward. And the reason people are on you, I think, is because you're pushing all the buttons and knocking on the doors that they wish they had the courage to do.
And
you're kind. She's going to be humble.
I'm going to be modest and say that, but it's the truth.
It's totally true.
In the sense of, a lot of people fear risk, or they don't want to fail, or they fail to admit failure. Well, I am the number one failure in the room. I fail all the time, and then I learn from it, and I always try to see the silver lining to it. So kind of like what was going on, last year we kind of became exposed to this whole controversy of Zillow instant offers. And my biggest thing is I never want to be defined by that, because I've done a lot of things prior to that.
Correct.
But that was just kind of like one of the things that really I was on, articles. I had Wall Street calling me. I never thought that Wall Street would pay me to give them insight on something so big that was way out of my league, in my opinion. But then I realized, and my own team has told me, Veronica, you're here for a reason. So share your story. And that's the thing of the generation we're in now, is that there is no right way. We are all contributing to this amazing industry and to this amazing lifestyle of change and disruption, right? And that's what disruption is about, right? Just being able to just speak your mind freely and just share your ideas and your passion. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to be the most creative, the hardest working, and have a lot of passion, and surround yourself by some great people to do some amazing things. And that's what, I guess allowed me to just create some disruption.
And you're also open. I think one of the greatest things that, Veronica has so many great qualities, but being open to allow all of that stuff. You know what you're good at, but you're also willing to listen. You mentioned it earlier. Somebody younger, because a lot of people think, oh God, it's a millennial, it's somebody younger, and I can't possibly learn from them. And that is such a fatal mistake that people in any industry, it doesn't have to be our industries, any industry makes, because they have a completely wonderful new idea about how things are done, and you can learn so much from them if you will just stop, get your ego out of the way, and listen to them.
Yeah, I said that today in my morning meeting with my team. I said, check your ego at the door. No one of us on our team are bigger than the other, not even myself, and I wouldn't be so worried about, I told my team, and I say it all the time, and I think I mentioned it to you, I wouldn't be so worried about what technology, what Zillows, what the Realtor.coms, or what these disruption companies such as Open Door, OfferPads are doing to our industry. I would be more worried about the fact that there's so much young, creative talent out there who are coming in and just with all these fresh ideas. And some people aren't listening to them, but those who do, that's where the magic's happening. And I love them all. I want to recruit them all. Come to me, please. I want to work with you. You creative souls. I need you in my life, because they're the ones who are just going to continue to elevate our industry and keep us on our toes and make us think bigger. Obviously, there's a lot of noise out there. We have to channel out the noise and realize what to listen to and what not to listen to. But it's also just such an exciting time to be in this industry. And And again, check your ego at the door.
How do you channel out the noise? How do you do that? Because I think a lot of people, we listen to it. It's hard not to allow it into your psyche, into what you're thinking. Because everybody does. I'm telling you, even the people that say, "Oh, I let it all roll off my back." They might, but it still hurts, or it still impacts in some way, shape, or form, and you have to regroup and you have to rethink. So how do you do that? How does somebody who's out there who's trying to make a wave like you guys are, how do you do it? Because you're so good on social media, I mentioned it earlier, about sharing when you're disappointed, hurt. I think more of you need to do the same thing. Stop pretending like your lives are this picture perfect Facebook thing. I love the fact that you talk about that.
I don't talk about it, I think, as much as, reality has in my life, that hits in my life. But I think I want people to know that I'm authentic and I go through things. And, right after coming off a stage in San Francisco for Most Innovative Team of the Year, which I was so shocked and humbled that we won that award at a capacity that I was up against some really big players, the Ben Kinneys of the world and Seth Campbell's and Open Door, huge companies. And I'm like, I'm just a girl from Orlando who loves what I do and started out just because I had to feed my kids. So how I got here, it was so humbling. But when I came back home, I kind of fell into a depression. I was like, what do I do now? Am I relevant? Am I going to sell real estate? Is my team going to believe in me? My team, I had kind of disconnected because I was conquering all these other things. And they're like, hey, we're over here. Like, where's our leader?
Sure.
Are you present, or are you caught up in the BS that happens in, this whole like social media facade, right? And I had to get raw and I had to get deep, and I locked myself in a room for 7 days. I didn't come out. I was just reading, binging on Netflix for a minute because I said, I just need to unplug and just realize that, we have to connect with who we are as people and admit that we're scared, we are hurt, we make bad decisions, but I don't dwell on it too long.
But I
have my moments.
How amazing that is, though, that you would. She admits it. Like, we all, if you admit it, I think people, if they don't admit that they are imperfect, that they make mistakes, that they're not the best mortgage person, the best real estate person, if they don't admit those kinds of things, then it's always in the back of their mind. They're not letting the monkey off their back. Yeah. I can't figure out how and I've not had anybody on the show because I always push people to be vulnerable. But I see it on social media and I'm thinking, dude, I know all your backstory. You are not
baggage.
Perfect.
Everybody
you got
has baggage
like everybody else does. And why would you put it out there that you don't? That makes you unapproachable.
I actually unfollow people who have the perfect life. Honestly, I want to see. Because and listen, I believe in happiness. I believe in being honest and just being happy. And I believe happiness is a state of mind. But reality is, I also want to know some people are relatable. And I just did a speech maybe about a year and a half ago in front of 2,600 of the best. And I got to tell them that I failed at multiple businesses, that I was 16 and pregnant, and I had a kid at 17 years old, and I let my parents down. And someone asked me, what's my chip on your shoulder? What's my chip on my shoulder? That was my first chip on my shoulder. And every day I wake up remembering I have a reason that I have to succeed. And every time I fail, that reignites the reminder that I said, I'm not going to be a statistic. I can't let failure hold me back. And, what's the next move? What's the next move? And I have people on my team that I have to lift up as well. And although we do really great numbers and we're always pushing for some more goals and bigger, better financial successes, I want to get with them and know what's keeping them up at night, what's their failure, what's their fear. And that's what I usually use as my motivating factor, saying, remember that moment when you just felt it was so dark that you never want to go back to? Let's talk about that, because that's the feeling I want to remind you of, about we're never going to let that dominate our life.
Correct.
We're going to succeed no matter what. And if I would have told you 6 months ago that we would have succeeded in that moment, you wouldn't have believed it. So that's usually kind of like the driving force.
That's so beautiful, because you've got a couple of team members on there, or people who, like Kathy's on here, you motivate us all. I think that is so key to not just your own success, but if you have a team or a business, or any kind of relationship you're in, you have to be able to empower people to do that. And it can be very painful to go to the darkest moment and go, okay, this is what you were feeling. Let's make sure you don't go back to that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Because you're admitting it, you're acknowledging it, but you're not empowering it. You're saying, okay, this is what you were, this is what you went through, this is what kept you up at night. We don't ever want to go back there again.
Yeah.
And I love that you do that with your team. I think that is so great for any kind of management or team building. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So what's on the horizon for you in 2018?
So I was a little scared. I think I mentioned even last year I fell into kind of like this what's next type thing. And I guess now I feel like I have a responsibility and I need to put my big girl panties on. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. I'm very, very honest.
No.
And utilize the opportunities that I've had and do bigger things and help talk to more people, inspire more people. And next is, this year podcast. Keynote speaker that's already on the works, author, coaching, opening a new office, and hoping to help some of the agents in my team and who are just I'm blessed to work with reach some bigger goals. We've got some really excited things going on, and like I said, last year I kind of fell into this shell of like, okay, what do I do next with this? And then I kind of had a big girl talk to myself and said, now you have a social responsibility to get out there and show more people that the world is round, not flat, right? And what do we do with that? Well, I want to connect. I told you I'm going to connect you some great people that I feel you need to connect with. And I just feel like now it's bigger than just opening and closing doors. By the way, I sell real estate for a living, but that's not what I talk about, right?
Correct.
I'm talking about really digging deep and finding what your passion in life is. So for me, it's like I get to sell real estate along the way, but my biggest passion in life is really just dream, motivate, inspire. Can I dream bigger? What's that big dream that I have or other people have? And we just talk about that. Inspire others to just dig deep and they inspire me and seek inspiration, and then hopefully motivate some people to do some really big
dream,
things.
Motivate, and inspire is your 2018 mantra. We had one, Jen Waterman, who always watches the show. She's amazing. She asked, how do you separate yourself from those dark moments? What do you do personally? What's the intrinsic thing? Do you light candles and take a bubble bath? I don't know, I'm guessing.
I do light candles.
Okay,
journal.
Journal.
I love the moon, honestly. I mean, I believe in my God, but like I love to just sit outside and just look at the beauty, and just I have some really good friends that we try to just talk to each other about just intentional thoughts and seeing ourselves already succeeding before we succeeded. In 2016, I had already mapped out 2017 before 2017 happened, and I looked back on it in 2017 at the end, and I had reached so many of those goals and moments, but because we got really intentional seeing who do you want to be tomorrow. All you have to do is believe it, write it down, and just manifest it. And honestly, I reach out to people who are doing things that I believe are just great things. And it's not just business, just life balance. I went on more vacations, right? I do more vacations.
You did. I was kind of jealous of all your travel last year.
Recommend some books. Alchemist is my very, very favorite book, The Alchemist.
Yes.
I've read it 4 times, and that was actually one of the books that has helped me when I was on my darkest moments. I'm kind of cheesy, and speaking of cheesy, let me segue into Who Moved My Cheese, right? That's really great. It's a simple read.
I love that book.
That's who awesome. Are you going to be in that book? You decide for yourself. Are you going to be the person worried about why did they do this and change is not fair, or are you going to pivot and not stay hungry? Another book is From Good to Great. My favorite quote that one of my good friends recommended, books that my good friend recommended, and to this day, he said, the enemy of great is good. Read that book. And then The Traveler's Guide is also another gift, is another one that was really good for me when it came to really identifying our core values as a team, who we were. So we literally locked ourselves into a room for days and days and days to decide, who are we as a team? What are our core values? What are we going to stand for? Sure. So when I fall into those dark moments of depression, because everyone does, and I'm not saying it's all the time, but like it happens, we get
all
sad.
Do, for the record. Say it again, because people don't think people like you get in any kind of funk.
Oh my God, the funk is real. The funk
is real.
I kind of go back to our core values, and we have 10 core values on our team, and success is a direct result of your mindset and your habits, giving back to the community, if it's not right, don't do it. Like little things like that. And realizing that when you love what you do, use that as fuel to lift you back up. And sometimes you fall down, but you get back up. And I have to admit that when I do fall into those dark moments, I then have my pity party and then say, I need to go back to my core values. I need to go back to what I talk about and just reignite that passion that I have for life and for love and for my people, my family, my business, and let's go. Shake it off.
Correct, but you allow yourself to have the moment. I think that's what people feel guilty about, allowing themselves to have the quick little pity party. Have it. Go ahead and experience it. But don't let it rule your life for a long time, because then you're just giving it power.
Yeah, and I think that that's where the topic of today we were talking about, like, why disruption, right? And I feel that it's reality of the generation that we're in our industry. Disruption is happening in our industry, your industry, my industry. We got CFPB telling us what we can't do, or we have the software companies coming in, or Wall Street wanting to come in and gobble up all the business, and open door and lower commissions, and don't listen to the real estate agent. Let's make selling real estate so smooth that you don't have to get it ready for showing a house. That type of disruption can create anxiety and nerves for us as agents in this industry, right? So I started saying, okay, well, hey, Mr. Open Door, hey, Mr. OfferPad, hey, Mr. Zillow, hey, Mr. You. How do we work together? Because not everyone's going to want to work with you. How do I make money with you? How do I do this? So we start talking about disruption. So when I had my pity party and I said, okay, I can't change what's happening in our industry. How do I unite with it? How do I make money off of this? How can we dance together? And that's where the disruption came in, because I know one thing. None of those companies are going to put me out of business, because I'm here to stay, and you should too, and you are too. And how do we disrupt and dominate? How do we still do the old school tactics of what we do in real estate, right? Because we love our people. No one's ever going to replace the passion that we bring as professionals, right? And how do we take this disruption and still dominate in our market?
So how do people reach you?
Oh, well, you can reach me
and we'll post all this later, but this is how fast it goes. We're at 32.
Okay, so
I love it, though. I could talk for hours.
Yeah, let's do this. They can reach me on social media. Look me up, Veronica Figueroa. I think I'm the only one in Orlando. You can go to my website, veronicafigueroa.com. That's for Dream, Motivate, Inspire. Only go there if you want to be motivated and inspired. I got my private Facebook page that I'll give you content on, and we'll just engage on a vulnerable level. You can find me on Twitter, FigueroaTeam.com, Snapchat, look me up, the Fig Team, Instagram. You can find me everywhere. We're everywhere. In your sleep.
What I want to say, I want to end, because I want to end on the fact that I think that you are so motivational. I think you need to give yourself, and I think you do, I hope, that you give yourself credit, because when you're out there, you're putting your whole self out there, and there's no way to be inauthentic with the way that you are engaging people. So she is authentic, raw. I wish that we could do an after show with her. We're going to do one at some point with Veronica.
Thank you.
But I love the fact that you are engaged, you care about people, you're not afraid to admit the things that you go through. And it's so important for the audience to hear that you go through things, because I swear the first thing is, oh my God, she's a giant producer, she owns her own brokerage. What problems could she possibly have? And I'm here to tell you that we all have these problems. We all go through things, and it's so wonderful for you to be able to share that vulnerability with the audience. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you
having me. Love you
to
pieces. I love you, Tony, too, if you're watching. So we're going to post all of her information on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Your questions were great. We had a great audience today. And of course, that all has to do with you.
Thank you.
All has to do with you. And look how beautiful she is.
Oh my God.
You're amazing. So,
your dress is so nice.
She's kind. We love you guys. We'll be back on the 9th. We won't have a show tomorrow or Monday, but we'll be back on the 9th. And then we've got a crazy schedule, and we're launching a whole bunch of stuff next week. Tune in. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, here we go with the finish button. Ready?